Is that 3-6 where you start the whole thing on the Eastern Conference side, Joe?
I start the whole thing with Cleveland. Did
Hmm.
they tank yesterday? To not potentially face Philly. Give me Orlando. Forget what they did in the season. I think they split. If you care about that, sometimes we overrate how important that is. But now you have Cleveland as a -190 favorite over Orlando. Orlando is sneaky good, but everybody's pretty much sneaky good. You're not in the play-in in the Eastern Conference. They're all pretty close. But the Knicks end up taking the 2 yesterday with their win over the Bulls. Cleveland loses. So there's some maneuvering going on there. But, I wonder if so we had that conversation about playing will
Hmm.
a team lose and then win because that's going to be discussed until that game occurs. But, Philly Miami matchup is dangerous. The 7 no matter who wins, the 7 is going to be dangerous there. And it's the opposite of the Western Conference where if you had your pick, you'd rather face the 1 than the 2. Well, in
Hmm.
the East, it's like normal. You definitely would rather face the 2 than the 1. There's a big gap there. And I think there's reason to believe as a 14.5 point favorite and 14 points in the fourth quarter yesterday that the Cavs didn't want to be in that position.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't either. I don't blame them. I'm rooting for the Magic. I bet them 100 to 1 April 2nd to win the East. So I'm hoping they can make a deep run. They've just been such a cool story. And I think, a lot of people, just because of their recent history, probably didn't think of them. But now you take a look at the East, and the play-in teams, except for the Sixers, I have Heat futures. I've kind of turned on them a little bit. Like, can they really do like what they
I'm
did
with you.
last year? I don't think so. I
They
really
haven't
don't.
looked like it down the stretch. Yeah.
No, I'm just kind of down on them. I think the Sixers are the team I'd be the most worried about in terms of the play-in. The Knicks are just I love the Knicks, but can we really trust them? It's like 1 minute they look hot, the next it's like they're injured. I am not sure what to make of them, and I'm totally out on the Bucks. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think it's as wide open. I mean, the Celtics are
I
just so dominant.
yeah, I think this worked out really nicely for the Bucks. This worked out really well for Milwaukee. This was one of the
Mm.
best possible, if not the best possible matchup they could get in the first round because we know the Pacers have very little, if any, interest in playing defense. We
Right.
know the Bucks. The Bucks can, even if it gets unnecessarily dragged out to 6 or 7 games. And by the way, uh, the Bucks in 5, if you're betting on this, in the exact series result market, is the favorite at 320. Followed by Bucks in 7. Even if this gets dragged out to 6 or 7 games, I think the Bucks handle the Pacers. You take Halliburton out of it. If he doesn't shoot well, I don't know where else India is going to go. This ended up about as well as it could for the Bucks. For the Cavs, careful what you wish for. I know Orlando stumbled a bit down the stretch in the last couple of weeks. Given what they showed us for the bulk of March, I think they're coming into the playoffs playing just the kind of basketball they need to play to take care of a Cleveland team that hasn't looked like itself since really pre All-Star break, Joe. I like the Magic over the Cavs. I like the Bucks over the Pacers. And look, whoever the poor 8 seed is, that's not going to turn out well for them. I think if we end up getting Sixers Knicks in the first round, it could be the best series, not just of the entire first round, either conference. It might be one of the best series of the entire playoffs. I really believe that. The way Tyrese
Mhm.
Maxey is shooting lately, Embiid back, Jalen Brunson has a Superman S across his chest, or at least tries to play like it most nights. Like, that is going to be a great series if we get it. I don't know if I'd be I don't know if I'd be crazy enough to bet on it though. Nick
Do
Sixers.
you
It's going to be
stand
pretty fun to
by
watch.
do you stand by your Bucks opinion if we find out Giannis will not be ready for the start of the series?
Yeah, I still think the Bucks get through the Pacers. I think it's going to be much more difficult, obviously, without Giannis, but This almost sets up well enough for them that they don't have to rush Giannis back. If he's still worried about that calf strain, and look, that old axiom, it's a cliche, but it's true more often than not, that a series doesn't really start until somebody loses at home. Okay, if you're the Bucks, even if the Pacers steal home court, even if you split in the first two, are you necessarily that worried going back to Indy that you can also split? And yeah, it becomes a little bit of a prolonged series, and you got to win it in 6 or 7. But Giannis comes back for Game 5 or Game 6. I think it all turns out well for the Bucks. I could be totally wrong, and Milwaukee could make a mess of themselves, much the way they have for the last 2.5 months. But I think Indy sets up as a really good matchup for the Bucks. It's again, I think the perfect matchup for them out of any other team they could have drawn in the first round.
We as we mentioned, we have a lot of time to consider this before these other ones that are set get going. But my first reaction was the exact opposite of you. My reaction was Cleveland, and I think Indiana's got a puncher's chance. I think they could take out the Bucks. You're right. The Pacers don't play any defense. You know who else doesn't play any defense? The Bucks. And I get to fade Doc, and maybe they don't have their superstar. We know the Pacers can hang with them scoring wise, and they did have a winning record against them in their 5 matchups this year, winning 3 of the 5. So that's kind of what I was looking at. We knew this, but we talked about it all year, and we got it. High profile teams in the play-in, so the NBA is going to be very pleased with that. But the biggest thing is, okay, as you mentioned, we knew the 4-5, and now we get the 3-4. I mean, rather the 3-6 toss-ups, complete toss-ups, and that's why we kept having this depth conversation in the West and how challenging it can be. Is it going to be Denver in the end? Maybe, but you have all of these possibilities as you go through the seeds. If you play the game, if not Denver, the list of teams that you could throw in there is pretty extensive. And these matchups, these first-round matchups that we do have, the numbers are telling us, Aaron, flip a coin. Flip a coin, because that's where the odds are. So if you have a strong opinion, you probably should be betting it.
Well, first takeaway is the NBA play-in tournament. Kudos to the NBA because the games were competitive. I think, more teams in, fans will be engaged for longer. I thought yesterday, was really good. So that's awesome. My first takeaway when looking at the West is I like that the Nuggets got the 2 seed. Because if I'm the Thunder, I really don't want to play the Warriors if they beat the Kings. And I looked at that game, Kings Warriors. So Kings open up as the favorite. Now they're plus 2.5. There's even a 3 out there. They lose Malik Monk, which is not good. So they're kind of getting a bit thinner in terms of injuries. You've got Kevin Huerter banged up, but they played each other so tough during the regular season. Warriors 1-2. Kings 1-2, but like 3 of those games were won by only 1 point. So that matchup is intriguing. My initial thought was, man, I should just take the Kings with the plus money, but I don't know with these injuries. I'm a bit concerned about Sacramento. So looking forward to tomorrow, though, for sure.
And the Suns are playing all right. They are kind of flying under the radar. It's the attention, the teams getting attention in the West. They're the play-in because of tomorrow night, and then the teams in that 4-5 matchup are getting talked up between the Clips and Mavs, and Suns are kind of laying low.
Man, I like Dallas over the Clippers. I just don't know what the best price is on that one. I just am not very high on the Clippers. T. Lue calling them out, and like maybe he's just trying to motivate them heading into the playoffs, but I just think this is a team I want to fade. Series spread by 1.5. Yeah, Mavericks minus 1.5. I don't hate it. Plus 132.
That's not bad. That's I do think that series could get to 6 or 7, so I don't know about that number, but I'll say this. Even though they scuffled a little bit last couple weeks of the regular season, I believe in the Magic giving Cleveland a hell of a run, if not taking them out. So Magic plus 165 right now is probably my favorite series price. I can see the Magic winning that one, upsetting the Cavs, and surprising a lot of people. If they play the way they did in March, I like the Magic to win at least the series.